Hey friends, welcome to my home. Today's entree is all about comfort food. Now because I live in Georgia, and if you were a guest in my home and coming to visit me, I would make you something called Susie's Chicken and Dumplings. They're so simple and so easy the way I make them, but of course the old-fashioned way can be a little time-consuming. So let's go in the kitchen, let's get started because I can't wait to show you how easy, how simple this over-the-top recipe is. I have here 12 cups of water that I have boiled off along with 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts that I've cooked for about 30 minutes. Now I know that the 12 cups of water may seem like a lot, but it's really not. When you add all of your cream cheeses, your soup mixtures, and your dumplings to it, it's just going to absorb up all that liquid and make it so rich and so creamy. But now that I've boiled my chicken breast off, I'm going to remove those from the pan here. I'm going to let those cool down. They're pretty hot so that I can shred those up in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, we're going to start working on getting our cream mixture going for our dumplings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a half a stick of butter. We'll just use this right here. Half a stick of butter into our dumpling liquid here. Next, I'm going to add a 10.34 ounce container of a cream of chicken soup. I'm just going to mix all that in. Make sure we get all that out. Okay. Next, I'm going to add a 10.34 ounce container of a cream of celery soup. I just love these cream-based soups. They make life so much easier for you when you're trying to cook. Okay. Next, I'm going to add 4 ounces of our Philadelphia cream cheese. Now, this is going to make this absolutely over-the-top delicious. You will see once we get all of our soups incorporated and the butter melts down good, this cream is just going to incorporate with all of this, which is going to make this so good. So I've got 4 ounces of Philadelphia cream cheese. And all this because our liquid is so hot, we're just going to whisk this all together. Now that all of our cream cheeses and our soups have melted really good into our chicken broth, I'm now ready to add my salt and pepper. So I've got 1 teaspoon of salt that I want to add, a half a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to whisk that really good here, get that well incorporated. Now I'm ready to move on to my dumplings, and let me show you how simple and how easy. Now I know Grandma, we've all seen Grandma roll out the bread and knead it and cut it and all that lengthy process. We've used canned biscuits. That's okay. Those to me personally are a little doughy. They're too thick. But let me tell you a secret that I've discovered that I think is really, really good, and I think you're going to like these. Pleasantly surprised. This is just flour tortilla shells. I'm using the extra large, and I'm going to cut six extra large tortilla shells into about a 1 inch by 1 inch strip. And we're going to add those to our broth, and you're going to see how they're going to plump up, get good and juicy. The liquid, the cream cheese, the soup, all that's going to just bind together and make these so good. So I can't wait for you to try them. So let's get started on cutting up our tortilla shells. And like I said, I've just got 3. I'm going to do 3 at a time. Very simple, very easy. As you can see, this is so easy to cut. We're now ready to add our tortilla shells to our liquid here, which we've added the cream cheese and our soups to. Now we want to start out kind of small and add just a few at a time. We don't want these to clump up on us. We really don't want to stir. We got one that tried to get away from us. There we go. We're going to add just maybe like in a third. And we're just going to not really stir. We're just going to use our little whisk and kind of pop them down into the liquid. Alright, let's do the next third. And there's no right or wrong way as to how to cut these. I just do the 1 inch because I like that size. They're not too big. And a little bit more here. Okay. And once this cools down, it's going to thicken up even more. This is going to be so good. You're going to be so surprised how good and how easy this is. Okay, let's go do the last third now. Okay. Smells so good. Okay, now that we've gotten all of our tortilla shells in here, I went ahead and got all my chicken shredded up once it cooled down. So now we're going to add all of the chicken, which was just our 3 chicken breasts that we had cooked off earlier in the broth. Well, I've got all kind of food trying to get away from me today. Okay. Like I said, we don't really want to stir. We're just kind of pushing it down into the liquid. I'm going to let this boil on for about another 10 minutes, and then I'm going to remove it from the heat. Now, once I've got it removed from the heat, I'm going to immediately pour it into my serving dish, because what I want to do is get this out of the hot pot, because it's going to help this cool down and thicken a lot faster. Once it starts cooling down, it's going to thicken up. You're going to see those 12 cups of water wasn't very much at all. So come back in just a minute, we're going to get a taste of it. We've now removed our chicken and dumplings, Susie's Chicken and Dumplings, from the stove. So like I said, once we do that, it's going to thicken up when it cools down a little bit. And this is how I would serve this to my friends or to my guests if they were coming to my home. I would serve it with cornbread and, of course, sweet tea. We have to have that. But the Philadelphia cream cheese is going to make this over-the-top delicious. It's going to make our broth so rich and so creamy and so delicious. This smells so good. Your guests are going to think that you've been rolling out dough all day long in the kitchen just to make them homemade dumplings. What they don't know is you just took a knife and cut up tortilla shells, and you got the same concept. So let's try it. Of course, we have to have cornbread. We have to have cornbread with anything in the South. It's a little hot. That's really good. I hope you'll try Susie's Chicken and Dumplings, especially if you have a friend you want to entertain.